Hello and welcome to another Q&A episode of Patches Metal.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So as stated before, this is another Q&A video, and as I said in the previous video, I really enjoy doing these. So I'm going to spread it out a little, you know, just spread the questions out. Which also means that I'm going to fill this episode up with a little more than just Q&A, but I also want to talk about something first. Because the thing I wanted to talk about, it is sort of related to a question someone asked me. They basically asked me if I could make some kind of a guide to forming a band, and I've already started this at some point. I think it was about half a year ago, something like that, in which I basically made a video about how to start a band, you know, just how to find your own band members and etc. However, they kind of gave me an idea. I can't really recall who asked me the question, but they kind of gave me an idea, which I guess should be really cool, in which I'm just going to make a longer guide, like with more episodes. And up front I want to state that of course I'm not a professional musician at the moment. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm not a professional musician. I am in a quite active band and we do have a lot of gigs, so I guess I can make at least a proper, you know, startup guide. Just getting things on the road, you know, getting things working. So don't expect me to really tell you guys how to make a professional band and, you know, start earning money with it or something, or make a living from it. But at least I can share my experiences with you all and, you know, create a guide to maybe even make it easier for people to start a band, or to give them that last, you know, shove in the right direction. When I did my last Q&A video a pretty long while ago, I specifically mentioned people not to ask me about specific bands or specific genres, because it would be, you know, an assload of work. It would take really long time to properly listen to bands and actually, you know, develop an opinion about it, because I can't really give my opinion about anything if I haven't known it for at least a month or something. So people started asking me about really obscure genres or bands that I had really never heard about before, and I just told them, like, guys, I'm sorry, but I can't really do that. But now that I've got a lot more of those questions again, I think I'm just going to throw myself at it and answer most of those genre related questions and band related questions. I will, however, mention if I don't really know enough about it. So the first genre I want to talk about is the new wave of thrash metal. And the person who asked me about new wave of thrash metal also already mentioned in his comment that there's not a lot of original bands in the genre. And I think that's true, and I think that also has its reason, and that is that, well, once you start being, and this is, by the way, this is not being critical or anything, because I love thrash metal, but once you start getting original in thrash metal, it's probably not thrash metal anymore. Because thrash metal is one of those genres that is very specifically defined, and there are certain rules to it. And if you know, think outside of those rules, and if you think outside of the thrash metal box, then it very quickly becomes non-thrash metal anymore. And in its own, that's not really a problem, because whenever you are in the mood for thrash metal, for new wave of thrash metal, you'll get it from any band you start listening to. And please do give me a few examples of really original new wave of thrash metal bands. But in my opinion and in my experience from the bands that I've heard about, once you decide to become a thrash metal band, you're basically bound to some very specific rules. So in conclusion, yes, I do love new wave of thrash metal. Yes, there aren't a lot of very original bands in the genre, but I think that's kind of what it's intended to be like, so I'm fine with it. Now, another question I got was about symphonic metal, and it's really difficult for me to talk about symphonic metal, since half of the bands in the genre I completely love and adore. I mean, my #1 favorite band is a symphonic metal band. However, the other half, I don't really of the symphonic metal genre I completely hate. And this is for one reason, and probably one reason alone. I really don't enjoy the sound of singing women. And I'm really sorry about that, and I can't help it, and it's nothing sexist, and I do like women, and you know, but it's just a sound that completely ticks me off. And there are some exceptions, really few though, but there are some exceptions. However, you know, in the same way that some people don't enjoy the sound of an amplified guitar, or some people don't enjoy bagpipes or whatever as an instrument, I just don't enjoy singing women. You know, once you start talking about symphonic metal, you usually get to bands like Nightwish and After Forever and Epica and Within Temptation and bands like that, which I just can't get into for that reason alone. And I do realize there are a lot of different styles of singing for women alone, but you know, that's also why I said there are some exceptions. I mean, there truly are some exceptions, but in general it's just a sound that I don't like. I mean, if you don't like an electric guitar, then you're not going to like it in thrash metal, and you're also not going to like it in a Led Zeppelin solo. So you know, this is just my kind of illness. And just because I'm starting to get the feeling I really owe this to all my female viewers, my all-time favorite female singer is Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. I completely fucking love her voice, and I very especially love her cover from Straight to the Heart on the Tribute to Dio CD. That is probably the best female voice performance that I've ever heard in my life. And I know that a lot of people are going to go complete shitstorm over this and saying like, oh, but that song sucks, or oh, that's terrible singing, or oh, this is done way better than that. But believe me when I say that I've heard so many examples of great female singers, and I just didn't enjoy it. And it's maybe just linked to my love for Dio that I enjoy her cover of that song, which made me also enjoy her voice in general. So you know, I could be biased in some way with this opinion, but I just feel like I have to name one song that I specifically enjoy, and that one is really the one. And while we're on this subject, Leviathan Blood specifically wants to know who I think is the hottest chick in metal. And that is going to be Karen Axelson from Sonic Syndicate. Now, another question I got was really difficult to answer because it's really difficult to actually define the question. The question was, what is your favorite subgenre in metal? And the reason why this is so difficult is because I always have a really difficult time with calling something my favorite thing or my number one thing. And I know my favorite band of all time is Arion, and that's just because of the extreme mind-blowing diversity in it, and the level of musical profession, and you know, just the compositions and other musicians who work with it. So that's just in a very broad perspective my number one pick. But when it comes to something like a genre, I start thinking about what actually would define my favorite genre. Because in some way you'd have to say progressive or symphonic metal, because that's what Arion is. And you know, Arion being my number one band pick, Arion's genre should also be my number one genre pick. But then, on the other hand, I could think about the amount of bands I like within a genre. And for instance, in new wave of thrash metal, there are probably about 30 or 40 bands that I completely adore and love with all my heart. So that would kind of make new wave of thrash metal my favorite genre. But then when I start thinking about the music I listen to the most, you know, that completely varies almost from day to day. I mean, these days I'm working out a lot, during which I listen to a lot of either metalcore or specifically the band Skindred, which is just fucking great during a workout. So I guess in theory that would mean I'd have to take those genres in mind as well. But this person kind of made it easier for me to answer the question, because he also asked me what my favorite genre is to play. And I've played in a lot of different metal bands, a lot of different genres, from thrash metal and heavy metal and stoner metal and metalcore, and metalcore being my my number one band at the moment, like my main focus. And really honestly answering that question, metalcore is at the moment for me personally the most fun to make. I just get to express myself the most in the music. The crowd has the nicest response, and this could really, you know, differ per country. I mean, I'd completely believe this. Someone told me that the thrash metal crowd in other countries is way more enthusiastic than the metalcore crowd, and that's all, you know, believable. But here in Holland, from the crowds that I've seen, the metalcore kids are the ones who go the most nuts. And combining this, you know, my love for creating metalcore, also with the complete fucking power boost it gives me during workouts and during training and stuff like that, I guess I would have to label metalcore as my number one favorite genre at the moment. And again, before people go completely nuts over this, there are a lot of different genres that I enjoy, and I would not say that metalcore is at my number one spot concerning everything, but just adding things up to each other. This is my outcome, but still, it's a hellish question to answer, and I would more prefer to say that I just enjoy metal as a whole. Then another question from someone was, which music genres within metal do you dislike? And there is death metal, which I don't really like, and that's just and only for the reason that I don't enjoy listening to the music. I mean, there's no really deeper meanings behind it. I don't think any less of death metal musicians in general or anything. I just don't really enjoy the sound of most death metal bands that I've heard. Another genre that I don't really enjoy is black metal, and black metal is more of the reason that it completely drags me down into the whole depressive kind of atmosphere that it usually goes along with. And there are some black metal bands that I really love and really enjoy, and it's usually the one that combines black metal with thrash metal, or were originally thrash metal. Certain albums from, for instance, Dark Throne or Venom, and some more examples, but I can't really actually recall the bands, because really in general it just doesn't do anything for me other than giving me a really depressive kind of vibe. Now, the last comment I wanted to reply to wasn't really a question, and it was more kind of a statement. It was an actual answer to my question in the Selling Out video, which I will link somewhere, probably down there, because I really hate making those annotations. Anyway, he stated that he would enjoy my videos a lot more if I had a little more continuity in my videos. So basically, you know, when I started those things like Patches Education, or Patches Rants, and then part 1 of something which would have a sequel to the video, which I've never made ever for anything. He said he would enjoy it a lot more if I actually, you know, finished those little started projects. And for me personally, and that's just my personal feelings on the matter, I more enjoy coming up with concepts than actually finishing those concepts. But if a lot of you guys think the same way as him and would actually want me to, you know, finish those things, make longer videos, or make more parts of certain subjects that I should really mention or discuss, like for instance the posers and true metalhead things, or the women in metal things, which, by the way, as controversial as it may be to this video, I've already made a video about. If you want me to finish those education videos I started at some point, just let me know at any point you want in the comments, and I read literally every single comment I get. I know I don't get as many as bigger YouTubers, so it's not really that big of a job to read all the comments, but just so you all know, I do read every single comment I get. So if you do have any suggestions or whatever, things you want me to mention, things you want to mention to me, things you want me to talk about, please just throw it all at me in the comments, and if it's anything you're asking a response to, then I promise I will respond to it. So yeah, that's it for this Q&A video. There's going to be a part 2, and this is really going to get there. I'm really going to make a part 2. as the next video that I'm going to make, because I do want to finish this. I mean, I have about 5 or 6 more decent questions to discuss. And after that, I'm just going to read through everything you guys said on here and on the previous videos, because I really want to work on the entire patches concept. You know, for the past 1.5 years, I've just been filming whenever I felt like filming, and I just did whatever I felt like doing. But if you guys have certain expectations of me, or things that in your opinion would really improve my videos, then I will work on that. And please don't give me anything like just do whatever you like to do, or any kind of relationship bullshit like that, because I just want to know what you guys think, and not just telling me, oh, you should do whatever you want, because that's not really helpful. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of bullshit, and I will see you all next time again.
1, 2, 3, 4.